Good afternoon. Today is Veterans Day, and we have a really cool guest on, a personal friend of mine, a gentleman by the name of Anthony Robinson, and he's my girlfriend's brother, and he has this really cool veterans charity that we're going to talk about, and he is a veteran himself, so we're going to bring him on right now and talk about what matters today. Invited Anthony on. He should be joining us momentarily. Just make sure we get him on. Accept. And here's the man of the hour.
Hey, we did it, man.
Hey, well, thanks for coming on. What's that big prop behind you? Is that just for show?
Yeah, it's just for show. That's the flagship airplane for our program.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow. What kind of airplane is that?
it's a Cessna 180. Let's see if I can get out of here and show it off.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
So you're in the hangar right now.
Oh yeah,
And is that like, as I understand, that's attached to your house?
it is the house.
It is the
Yeah,
house.
yeah. I've been super blessed to be able to move out here and live in a flying community and rebuild this airplane and yeah, that kind of jump started the whole life of this program. So
Yeah,
it's
well, let's back up. Let's
been a
start
while,
from the
right?
top. So this is Anthony Robinson, and he's so many things. He's an amazing man, an amazing father, has an amazing family, amazing brother, and a personal friend of mine as well. So I've actually been to Anthony's house, which it literally, like he says, is a hangar, and there's a little bit of living space in the front that he's created out of basically a metal airplane hangar building. And so yeah, Anthony, I wanted to have you on today because, of course, it's Veterans Day, and I wanted to have the focus be on that. And I want you to, because you're a veteran yourself, you're a PJ, right? Is that
Yeah, that's
correct?
right. Yep.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Most people don't know what that means, but it's very important. It has a lot of history behind it, and uh, just kind of tell us, after that, I want to talk about what Veterans Day means to you, and and then also talk about your charity and what you're doing for veterans. I think it's really unique what you're doing. Give a man a fish and he can eat for a day, but feed a man to fish, uh, teach a man to fish, and he'll be a lot better set up. So I find your this work that you're doing with your organization to be really, really inspirational and really effective. Really cool what you're doing for veterans. So, but yeah, let's start out from the top. Anthony, who are you, and what is your background? And tell us why you're a veteran and a little bit of how you got to this hangar.
Yeah. Yeah, my name's Anthony Robinson. I joined the Air Force straight out of high school. Initially had an intelligence contract and quickly found out that I wasn't built for that job. So I did it for a number of years, 4 or 5 years, and I got stationed at a PJ squadron and just really fell in love with the job. The intelligence side was incredible. There are a lot of great men and women doing that. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't the way that I was raised. I'm an outside dog, and so uh, I didn't really belong in that environment. I don't believe so. God led me to pararescue unit, and I just fell in love with it, and I had to do it. So I've had a lot of fortunate circumstances in my life, and had the opportunity to retrain to that career field, and had some really good leadership that pulled some strings to help me do that, and went through that program. It's about a 2 year pipeline. It's, we basically have about a 10% success rate. So we started with 120 guys, and
Mm.
about 12 of those guys ended up making it to graduation. So 2 years later.
And what is the PJ?
Yeah, so it's a PJ's a manifest identifier for our position on aircraft. Um, so P is pararescue, and then the J is jumper, and it's just our code. So on the helicopter, uh, rather than saying pararescueman all the time, they just started saying PJ, and then that sort of stuck. So what we do is combat search and rescue. We're technical rescue specialists. We do static line, halo, hey-ho parachuting, nationally registered paramedic. We do high angle rescue, subsurface rescue via scuba. Um, and then a lot of guys will attach to ODA teams or SEAL teams, Ranger teams, and be their technical rescue asset on that team. So somebody gets hurt, somebody gets isolated, an aircraft gets shot down. It's our responsibility to go get that individual and bring them back home.
Wow, so that's quite an incredible role. It's like you're saving the special force guys that are supposed to be like so well trained that they don't need saving. So you're like the backup of the backups.
Yeah, you know those the units that we support. They're they're the ones that are going out there, the tip of the spear, taking the fight to the enemy. And sometimes it doesn't go as planned, uh, and it's
Hmm.
our job, to be there to extract them from that situation. If it doesn't go the way that we all hope that it goes, we definitely don't wish any of our brothers to get or sisters to get injured, but if they are, we want to be there.
Mm. So have you ever jumped out of a plane with scuba gear on and like jumped into the water?
No, I've never jumped with scuba gear. I have jumped into the water. We do a jump with a inflatable Zodiac boat that we fold up. It's called a Rams package. We fold the boat up and attach a scuba bottle to it. We push it out of the airplane. It's got its own parachute, and then we jump out after it. Um,
Wow.
Disassemble the whole thing in the water, inflate the boat, attach the motor, and take off to go do whatever we were asked to do.
Wow.
That was it, it, it was a very exciting job. Very exciting job. Also a job for a younger man than me.
And
So,
when was this?
um, so I got out in 2015. So I've been out a little over 9 years now. Um,
So you were serving in Iraq?
I did 2 tours in Afghanistan. Yeah,
Afghanistan. Wow.
yeah. I joined in 2005, a couple weeks out of high school, and then got out in 2015.
So you got out in 2015. So tell us about your experience coming home.
You so I was in Afghanistan on a 6-man team. We were there 4 or 5 months as a rescue and recovery asset. Um, we did everything together, just the six of us. Um, we flew missions together. We relaxed together. We ate dinner together. We ate every meal together. We were on alert, so we were not really allowed to stray too far away from our helicopters because of, we had a short hook to take off and um, go get somebody if the bell rang.
Hmm.
Um, so my personal experience, I left Afghanistan. My team, we redeployed back home. I had a really good opportunity to get out of the Air Force and take over a family business and move here. And so I took that opportunity, but I didn't really know what I was getting myself into leaving Afghanistan. And then just a couple of weeks later, I was out of the military, living in Houston. I had my wonderful wife and children, but it was like it was time to start over and figure out who I am now. I don't wear who I am on my chest anymore. Um, so yeah, I think a lot of veterans underestimate the challenge that they're going to face getting out. I think it's really important that we still seek out relationships with each other and spend that time. It's cathartic. Um, what you do in the military is part of who you are, but it's not who you are. It doesn't define you. It's not the end of your life. It's
Yeah.
it's probably very similar to athletes. You think, when you're 30 years old and you're a dinosaur in the sport that you're playing, and you get out, like life's over. Like I peaked and now I'm gonna go work a job till I die, and it's like it's so silly. There's so many great things and so much life to experience after that.
Right. That's just one perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Or
not over. I mean, you're what you join at 18, you do 20 years, you get out and you're 38 and it's over.
no, it's not over, but it's also not nothing. Like that experience informs, who you are.
Yeah, it's a piece of
And who,
the puzzle.
yeah, it's a piece of the puzzle. And who are we? Like we could talk a lot about who are we. Usually when you ask someone, who are you? Well, they'll say, oh, I'm Brian. But that's not correct. Like my name is Brian.
Hmm.
I'm called Brian. But who am I? I'm and also not just the totality of the experience that I've had. There's something more. There's a being inside, and life is a journey of development. We're
Hmm.
here to co-create with the creator and develop ourselves physically, mentally, spiritually, in all ways. So you get out, and obviously it's a big shock, a big culture shock, a big, going from your daily of being with your team and your guys that you created these incredible intimate relationships with, to now you're back home. And by the way, while you were serving, you had a wife and kids, or at least one, back home,
Yeah, both the boys.
both
Yep.
the boys. And so you come back and you just slip into this new life of working on pools and stuff like that, and your job, and then the kids, and
Yep.
the whole, from waking to sleeping, everything is like night and day different. Tell us about tell us about the psychological adjustment, and maybe what were some of the challenges there, and if you could also generalize that, and like what kind of challenges, mental, physical, and otherwise, are our veterans facing as they come home after they've served?
Yeah, so I mean, I can speak to my experience and those of the few guys that I'm around. I think it's probably pretty common, um, but I mean, you lose your identity, what you believe to be your identity. Um,
Mm.
like when you're in the military, you have a job to do. You wear everything about yourself on your shirt, and you know, and you kind of live on your reputation. When you get out, nobody knows who you are. They don't know what you've done. They don't know. Um, don't know anything about you, and that can kind of lead you, I think, to believe that you don't really know anything about yourself now too. Um,
A good place to be.
it can be, yeah, if you have some, if you have some good guidance in your life, it certainly is. Um, if you feel like you're alone, it's certainly not, you know.
Mm.
Um, it's it can be a really tough place. Um, I went through tough some tough times too, and I was very fortunate that you and Mila were there for me at that time. Um,
Mm.
yeah, it was you guys really like jump started my my healing process.
Yeah, it's been beautiful to watch.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
um we neglect ourselves a lot, you know. We neglect ourselves a lot, put other people first, and um sometimes maybe feel sorry for ourselves. And like the military, especially in special operations, it's the thing you hear a lot is suffer in
mm,
silence.
mm. Oh, that's
And
tough.
yeah, and we kind of bring that, we bring a few bad habits out of out of the teams. um, One thing huge is when we get done with a training evolution, or we get done with a real world mission, we go straight into debrief. And debriefs are not about, hey, great job on this, great job on that. It's, hey, man, you screwed this up. You need to
Mm.
fix it. Um, it's always, we always focus on hammering the things we messed up so we can get better. We get out, and that's what we do. We focus on the negative. I screwed that up. I screwed that up. I screwed that up. I screwed that up. Um, and we leave the positives, the things we did right. Those don't help us. We leave that in the dust. And I would say if there's anybody out there that's watching this right now or in the future, like, you got to speak positively to yourself. You have to be honest with yourself in the
Mm.
negative, sure, but you got to make it a point to be honest with yourself in the positive things too. If you don't, you're really not being honest with yourself. You're being hard on yourself, and you don't have to be.
Yeah, yeah. It's the you call them the negative things. I would call them the challenges. They
Yeah.
they are there to teach us things, and it's important to not ignore those. It's important to pay attention to those and know that those aren't the only things. The positive things, the things have gone well. It's important to remind ourselves of that. To make an affirmation of hey, yeah, some things were challenging, some things didn't go the way I expected, but there were a lot of things that went well, where I did well, and it's a perspective shift of m- maybe not even looking at things as positive or negative. The things just are,
Hmm.
and it's our attachment to them, our emotional attachment, or our mental attachment to it, that we we look at it through this lens of judgment. Like, I didn't do this right, I didn't do that right, or I did this right. When they're all just
Hmm.
experiences. When we sit back after this, what do we know? What do we learn? Like, um, what and when we kind of release the attachment to these experiences that we've had, they become wisdom. Some of those most awful mistakes I've ever done in my life, that I've just ground myself, just pounded the wall over. Uh, Eventually, if we work at it, and there's many ways to work at it, uh, that attachment and the emotional response to it, like, dissolves, and we're left with the wisdom. And and so, yeah, it's even outside of the veteran world, in our world in the West, we're kind of taught to hide mistakes, to not to to not be vulnerable
Hmm.
about those things, not even necessarily with anyone else, just with ourselves. And it's a tricky habit to kind of unwind and reprogram, but there's so much power in that, and looking at yourself and seeing yourself as you are. And I said before, I didn't mean that in an overbearing way when I said, hey, when you don't know yourself, it can be a great time. When we look at things, every experience we have, every instance, every moment we have in life, there's like definitely two ways to look at it. One is to look at the negatives. The other is to say, well, what's the advantage here? There's a huge setback. Something gets really messed up. What is the positive out of this? What is the advantage that I can seek
Yeah,
in
what's the lesson?
this moment? What's the lesson that helps me better myself and
Hmm.
develop myself? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's definitely definitely challenging, and I can't imagine how challenging it would be for guys like you and the other veterans out there who are, making that shift to regular life here back home. But we're here to support. Um, we're here to support all these veterans,
Yeah, man, and
and
it's huge. My granddad was in Vietnam, and he was
mhm,
treated incredibly poorly when he came back home, as were thousands and thousands of guys. And it's not lost on me the how fortunate we are today to have a public that appreciates the sacrifice that these guys made. The military force that we have today is 100% volunteer.
mhm.
Those guys back in Vietnam were not that way. They didn't get to choose what they did with their life. That was it was forced upon them, asked of them, and they obliged. And they're uh, they're heroes in my opinion. Um, they didn't get to choose what they did. They didn't get to choose where they went. They did what their country asked of them, and you know, and so if you want to be upset with someone, don't be upset with the individual. You know, he was only doing what he was asked of, what was asked of him, rather.
Yeah, they deserve our compassion and our support now
Yeah,
that they're back.
yeah,
All
absolutely.
generations of them. Yeah, let's see. So Lindsay mentions The Body Keeps the Score is a great book if you haven't read it yet. The author is world renowned for his healing work and helping others release trauma.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so I
I
want to talk
definitely
about
feel like
your.
my body's keeping score
Yeah,
sometimes.
it is. It is totally. Yeah, I wanted to speak, I want to talk about what you're doing now with your charity, but I wanted to speak a little bit about that period before you started the charity, from 2015 up until more recently, where you started your charity. As much as you're willing to discuss about it within your comfort zone, what are the what are the maybe the tools or the methods or the insights you had that helped you break through some of the psychological adjustment challenges you were having, and just in general in your endless journey to be your highest and best self?
You know, I would say I was probably trending downhill um, in my mental health and my self image. Probably till about a year and a half ago. Um, I was trying to feel like I'm enough through my accomplishments. You know, I would work hard and take on tasks um, with the simple goal of just trying to feel like I'm good enough, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and that was, detrimental to my my mental health, my self image. Uh, I was again. I've had a lot of fortunate circumstances in my life where God put some pretty influential people in my life. Um, you can call it God, you can call it the universe, whatever you want to call it. But I, I call it God. You know, that's the energy that's arranging all of this stuff.
Hmm.
And uh, yeah, I mean, everything eventually came to a head, and as I spiraled out of control, and I was I was blessed to have a buddy reach out uh, at a pretty pivotal moment, and he just locked onto me, you know, and that was that was like the turnaround point. It was like I I've got to figure out not necessarily how I got here, but how I go forward, you know,
Yeah.
and start working on me. You know, I felt like it was selfish to work on me. Felt like I have to sacrifice as much as possible um, for everyone else around me. But I've realized if I don't ever work on me, then I'm not capable of giving the world the best me. You know, it's not selfish to spend time with yourself. It's not selfish to spend time on yourself or money or whatever. I mean, time is the really the most non-renewable resource that we have, and to me, it's the most valuable. And you deserve to spend time on yourself. And those that are around you, your loved ones, they deserve you to spend time on yourself. Um, if you're not doing that, then
Hmm.
you're you're cheating yourself of joy. You know.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest illusions of our reality is that uh, working on yourself or focusing on yourself is something selfish, and
Yeah.
we're trained and we're conditioned to focus on the externalities, the outer screen of things. But when our, when our, and also like we're conditioned to help others,
Yeah.
and we do want to help others. We're all humans, but when our house is on fire and we're trying to help others, it's not just a misplaced use of resources. It's also like it's like when you go to the doctor and he's really fat and unhealthy, and
Yeah.
he's trying to tell you about your health, and you're like, you're not
Yeah.
very convincing. It's
Yeah.
the same thing. So in this journey, like you started to, as challenging as it was, you found someone to support you that you could identify with, and you started to look within and to start to
Yeah.
look inward, and who am I really, and what am I, and how do I see myself, and if I don't see myself in a positive light, well, why is that? Because I'm a beautiful, perfect being created by God, and I I say that because I resonate with that a lot. I also had my own experience with that where I was, after many years of doing sauna space, I was in this mode of like, okay, I'll just build one more sauna to scale the business more, and somebody else's life is going to be transformed, with the product. And I had forgotten myself. I was just pouring everything into work, even more than, my family, my children.
Yeah.
And it was really hard to step back and say, well, wait a second, there's something missing here in all of this. I've forgotten myself.
Yeah.
And then when I started to look within, it just was this domino effect of like, oh, I've got this issue and I have this problem, and I'm looking at things in this really bizarre negative way, and I'm not taking care of myself. You know, I've always eaten well and used my sauna, but I wasn't like wasn't ever buying anything for myself. I
Mhm.
never like took a bath or did any kind of like sort of spoiling of myself. And and once I got out of the funk, it sounds like you kind of got out of the funk too. You realize like self-care and self-focus is so beautiful. It's how we um when we know ourselves and we're at peace with ourselves, we reveal or we get closer and closer to our innate gifts, and we begin to manifest our highest and best selves. And that's really when we get into a position where we can really help the people around us, whom we love, is from a position of strength and
Yep.
grounding and stability. So thank you for opening up, man. That's I really appreciate that, and I know that other people who's going to watch this now and later are will really appreciate that too.
And I
Yeah,
definitely hope so. I know that like um,
go ahead.
I know it's veterans like get the spotlight on this mental health stuff a lot. I- it's not. I mean, the people that I've encountered in the last year and a half, veterans and otherwise, um, we kind of all experience the same thing, the same struggles, you know. And even though the spotlight is on veterans a lot, it's not like you're not struggling with the same exact thing because you didn't join the military or whatever, you know. Like we're all human and we're all part of the same organism, and you know, we all experience, I think, similar struggles.
Yeah, we're. I mean, it's in some ways it's really simple. We're endlessly seeking validation for our own self-worth.
Yeah.
We're seeking purpose. We want to feel good. That's why it's it's um it's so easy to give people a compliment, you know. When you do that, like you're triggering this like the most primordial part of our DNA, that we want to feel worthy.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to do, and sometimes, and you know, affirming that also goes towards ourselves, like affirming ourselves, like, yeah, I'm a good person. The universe is working for me. Today is an amazing day.
Right.
Things are aligning to my highest and best self. We had a couple quick comments from Lindsay. Well, actually, a lot of comments from Lindsay. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for joining us. Yeah, it's she mentions about had to let some negative, toxic people go from my life. Yeah, that's a part of it too. You know, when we start to get to know ourselves again and remember who we are and what we love and how what our values are, that starts to domino outwards into our external life, and we start to change our lifestyle. Hey, this thing that I've been doing for years, whether maybe it's drinking beer or coffee or just staying up late and watching TV a lot, like we're like, you know, that's not really aligned with me. It really doesn't make me feel good. There's so many things that, due to modern society and how we're raised, we're conditioned to think that's what I want, but it's not really something that we want. And that's the part of this beautiful path of self-discovery and self-remembrance, is we start to comb through that and filter through and look at those things that we're doing. Hey, the way I'm talking to, you know, my son, is that me? Is that the really the who I am and the way I want to communicate with them, or is it just this habit that I developed over time? And yeah, part of that is part of that can be challenging, because once you have these realizations, like, well, this is I'm Brian, this is who I am, then there's a lot of things that in my life, that if it's not in alignment, it's got to go. Because
Yeah.
if not, it's continuing to contribute to this illusion of myself that's not me. And sometimes that's habits, sometimes that's people, and that can be very challenging. And sometimes it's just thoughts. You know, it's like how you see yourself. Oh, and judgmental thoughts, that they just have to go. And it's definitely a journey, and we're all on it. and maybe it maybe it's a never ending journey. But she also says, yeah, when you start focusing and take care of yourself, we heal, we get closer to God, we rise up to our true potential.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lindsay. Okay, so let's so you were on this path of discovery a year and a half ago. That also kind of coincides with you starting your charity, right?
Yeah.
Or is it a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
before?
We started the nonprofit a little bit before that. You know, I think I was still at that point searching for something to increase my self-worth, um, or the way I perceived it. Um, but you know, when I got out of the Air Force, I was not a pilot in the Air Force. I grew up, you know, my dad was a pilot. We had an airplane and flew places, um, and it was incredible. You know, it makes the world a smaller place. Uh, so
And I've actually been on Anthony's plane, and it was
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So
When we went up really fast, or no, we went down really fast, and the phone floated in
yeah,
the air.
yeah, yeah,
There's an incredible feeling of, just you just feel like an eagle up
yeah.
there. It's amazing.
Yeah, so it's um you know where I'm at right now in my life, I think we're here to collect experience, to experience
Mm,
as much as possible. You know, this our body is a receiver of energy, right?
yeah,
Um and I think our soul is
and,
the
and a generator too.
yeah, yeah. I think our soul is like the USB drive, you know, that
Mm,
saves that experience. So I really, you know, I think my purpose here is to experience as much as I can, and um, you know, getting out of the Air Force and having the opportunity arise to get my pilot certificate. Um, it was an experience that was incredible. I mean, to literally and figuratively have a new perspective on the planet, um, is just it's pretty profound. And you probably felt that as we left the ground in the airplane that day. You know, as we get further away from the surface of the earth, uh, everything changes. You know,
yeah,
and
and just real quick for everybody, it's not like flying in a commercial airline, which I've done my whole life. This plane behind him, it only fits four people. It's
mm,
very small on the inside, and you can feel the wind and everything's rattling. But the view that you have, you're like as if you're in the front of the commercial airline, the cockpit's view. It's a stunning experience.
yeah,
I highly recommend to people. It's nothing like flying in a big jet.
yeah, yeah. It's like you. I love taking people flying that have either never flown or never flown in a small airplane, because they cannot control the outward expression of emotion that they have. You know, whether it's fear or excitement or wonder or whatever, like it just explodes out of them, and that's, I mean, that's my favorite thing about it. But and I had that, um, and I thought, man, how can I give this to other people? You know, and I obviously I can't give it to everybody. Um, and so I thought, you know, about limiting it to veterans, because that's the that's the amount of income that I can generate to help this specific group. You know,
Hmm.
um, so yeah, I had a friend that I hadn't talked to in a decade, and he reached out to me kind of out of the blue, and he said, "I want to come see you." And I said, "Let's go. Come on." And he came down, and we're sitting in the living room, and he said, "I want to start a nonprofit, but I don't have an idea." I said, "I want to start a nonprofit. I have an idea, but I don't know how to do it." And that there it was. It was born, and he had a buddy that he had worked with in the intelligence realm, and Mike Parker, and we brought Mike Parker over, and then he had a buddy that they served in the Army together, and he's awesome, Mike D. So we brought Mike D in. Um, just recently added another board member, Jordan Carroll. Not He's not a veteran, but uh, serving veterans is just a really high priority for him. He comes from a family of veterans, and he's a pilot and a chiropractor. So definitely still in that healing space, helping people space.
Hmm.
So I mean, there's the dream team, you know, and so we start figuring out fundraising, and we make a ton of mistakes, and we but it's not because of a lack of effort. It's because we didn't really know what we were doing. We had all the drive, and if we had a target, we went after it with 110%. And sometimes we came up short, and sometimes we made mistakes, but we learn from everything, and we have not made the same mistake twice. And we had our first student get his pilot certificate. I guess it's been 5 or 6 months ago. Um,
Wow.
our second student is right on the cusp of getting his certificate, and we've got a backlog of very, very deserving candidates that as soon as we get funding for them, they're going through the program. And we saw our first candidate. He's a Marine Corps veteran. He served as a police officer for about 12 years. He's got a wife and kids, and he was struggling a little bit with, again, his mental health, his self-image, and um, now you see him sending, he sends pictures to us of like flying his wife out on a date, or putting his daughter in the airplane and just going and flying around. And it's like, that is, that's like the gold that I put inside my USB drive, and it's going to stay there forever.
Hmm.
And the more, the more people, like, we are successful. We did it. Like, we got a group of guys together. We got funding, and we got a guy through the program. You know, everything else from here on out is bonus. It's extra, it's bonus, and it's heartwarming to see that these guys go out, they accept this challenge, and it is a challenge. Don't It's not easy. They
Hmm.
accept this challenge, and we just pay for it. We pay for it, and we're here for them uh, to answer questions, to help them through, to be an advocate for them, and but they got to do it themselves. They've got to do all the work, and to see David succeed through that challenge is I, I saw a huge change in him. You know, and I mean, I think he sees himself now the way that I've seen him since I met him, and that's, man,
That's
that's wonderful.
really
Yeah,
powerful.
yeah.
Yeah, it's and it a healer doesn't really heal anyone.
Hmm.
We just help people remember they can heal themselves, and how how validating is that he now sees himself as you saw
Yeah.
him. Part of that is not just him going through the program, it's also you being a reflection of him, and you seeing yourself also as a good guy and a
Yeah.
worthy man and a worthy father, and him, it's an energy thing,
Man,
and people
done
people
I've
pick
done
up
some
on that.
hard stuff. I've done some incredibly difficult things in my life. Um, and one of the hardest things I've ever done, uh, you and Mila made me write down 10 things that I like about myself. And then I had to say it out loud. And man, I thought I could just write it down. I thought I was going to get away with that was hard enough, you know? And then I had to say that out
Hmm.
to the world. Man, that was hard.
Wow.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing that.
man, that was life. That was it seemed simple maybe, but it was life changing, man. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for that, Anthony. Yeah, it looks like Sheldon says when you can provide a purpose to focus on to work forward, you've done a great thing. Great work. Yeah, absolutely. It's not either or. We don't have to just accomplish things and create things and lose ourselves in the process or ignore ourselves. We can kind of sit, we can move our awareness center. This comes from this book I'm reading or I've read recently called Reality Transurfing. We we can sit and move our awareness center halfway between our thoughts and the external reality. And so like you've achieved this amazing thing. Like David's graduated, you've got another guy in the pipeline. It's actually worked. When we create outside of ourselves, we can do that, from a place of knowing and peace from within. And so the validation is not just what you did, but um, sort of like the knowing that you have inside at the same time when you're doing it, and that and no matter what happens, it's all
Yep.
good. So I think it's not a coincidence that those two things kind of came together in the same time in the last 2 years.
There's really no coincidence, I don't think. I mean, uh, you you meeting Mila, um, my
Yeah.
dad meeting Mila's mom. Like things happen that maybe we don't understand at the time, but uh, it's all I think part of the plan. And
Yeah. I mean,
it's
there's
been
definitely there's there's like all these possibilities, but and anything can go any way. Life is infinite, but there's certain possibilities that are, I would say, more favored than others by the creator, and those are ones that are in alignment with our highest and best selves. And he's always helping us out. He's always trying to show us, it's not about the right and the wrong way, it's the way that's most aligned with our highest and best selves, because when we're there, we're closest to him.
yeah.
And sometimes the universe is screaming at us, but are we paying attention? Definitely there's no coincidences. Everything is serendipity. Life is a constant um, miracle from moment to
It
moment,
is. It's
all
a
the time.
miracle that we're here, man. Like,
It is that we wake up with breath in our lungs,
yeah,
and we've got this beautiful day, and all these
yeah.
people who love us, and all this opportunity to
I
create.
mean, all the things that had to align for you to exist is I mean, it's a chain of miracles, It's an, it's almost
Yeah,
unbelievable, really. You know, it really is. But I don't
yeah, and
know,
that's
man.
that,
Uh,
that's everybody.
yeah, yeah, every single person. Yeah, and I think I wish that people knew how special that is. You know, you're. That's another thing you guys said. You're the best you that's ever been.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
No one else can be better than you.
Yeah,
that's
you're
right.
the best at being yourself. You're already perfect.
That's right.
And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And all you veterans out there too, you're all perfect and amazing, and
Yeah,
we're
that's
absolutely
right.
here to support you guys. Let's wrap up a little bit
Let
by.
me let me
Oh,
say this real quick. Like
go
our
ahead. Go
our
ahead.
our our nonprofit, Veteran Aviator. Our what we provide is a private pilot scholarship, basically, and the community, the assistance, the brotherhood to help people through that. But I want to be very clear that that's just the bait. That's the bait of our program to get people. I say the term guys a lot, but the first the first person that we brought into this that we selected into the program was a female Army captain, very well deserving. We're working through some stuff with her to get her started because she's still in the reserves, but or maybe the guard. I'm sorry if I got that wrong, but I mean men and women. But that's the flying is the bait to get them in here so that we can be there for them, you know. And so if you're a veteran and you need help, um, even if you don't want to fly, you know, reach out to us because we're here, and you know, and if I can't give you what you need, I know who can, and I can get we as a group can get you in contact with that with whoever can get you what you need. So that's
Amazing. And
the purpose.
yeah, and for those of you looking for Veteran Aviator, you guys are on Instagram. Veteran Aviator is your handle.
Yep,
What's your guys' website?
it's veteranaviator.com, and it's Veteran Aviator on Facebook as well. You can reach out anyway. If you know, if you want me directly, you can email me at anthony@veteranaviator.com. You know, we're here, and we're only here because of uh, a very supportive nation that we have. You know, specifically Sauna Space. You guys, man, you guys really allowed us to make ends meet through your uh, uh, promo code that you gave us. That there was a period of time where I thought we weren't going to be able to continue, and boom, you guys blessed us, and it's huge, man. Like it's
Hmm.
you, I can't put into words the how
Mhm.
important how important that was. You know, the firelight, um, that's on my desk. I run two companies, plus Veteran Aviator. I'm on the board for my community, and working on building a house. And I spend a lot of time on the computer because of that, which, as previously stated, I'm an outside dog, and
Yeah.
so that's tough for me. But I've got that firelight right on my desk, and it's on when I'm sitting there. When my wife's sitting there, it's on, and it just I think you know one of the biggest things I notice about it is the screen time fatigue is significantly reduced. Um,
Yeah.
I can work a lot longer without my eyes hurting, without you know without migraines, and so it's you know it's a force multiplier because it's drastically improved my productivity.
Wow.
Um, in
Thank
something
you.
that I hate doing, which is sitting at a computer.
Yeah. Yeah, the computer work can be taxing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so awesome to have. That's a huge benefit of our product is just that technology fatigue, man.
yeah,
You know, from the screens and
yeah.
we're not
It's huge.
designed as humans to do that stuff for very long,
It's huge.
if at all.
So you guys put me in your sauna, um, at your
Hmm.
place. Uh, how how does it get like how does it heat your body so quickly? Because
Oh.
I've been in
Mhm.
saunas, you know,
Yeah.
like steam saunas, whatever. But that was like I don't know. It was like magic, red magic.
I was about to say, well, because it's magic. Yeah, we only have a couple minutes left, so let's
Yeah,
wrap up
sure.
with that. Yeah, it's because we use light to heat the body. So it's our firelight spectrum is a full spectrum light source that mimics the sun's light that has all the wavelengths in it of the sun spectrum without ultraviolet and blue light, which are the damaging wavelengths. So the sun is mostly near infrared. Near infrared is a part of the spectrum that we don't see, but it turns out it's the majority of the sun spectrum. Over 70% of the power is in that spectrum of near infrared, and that's where all the healing is, and also all the radiant heat. So it's kind of weird to think about, but the light itself is what heats you. The light is penetrating, the near infrared light penetrates many inches into your body and heats you from within. That's why when you're out in the sun, you get that kind of warmth from within. It's not the visible light or the ultraviolet light that's heating you. It's this near infrared light that heats you. So in the sauna space sauna, it's the light itself that heats you. So the air's not even that hot. You get in and it's warm, but that light is immediately heating the water up really deeply inside your body. So in a sauna space sauna, you sweat a lot faster. Your sauna session is a lot faster.
Yeah.
It's how we heat the body. Most saunas are using the air to heat you up, and even
Yeah, it's not
what people call,
it doesn't feel like like it's a surface heat. Like it feels like you are warming from the inside. You know?
yeah, it's a super deep heat, and that's part of why people love it. Is it's so effective and so
Yeah.
fast. You don't have to preheat it. It doesn't take a long time, and the light itself is very calming.
Yes.
That's the other benefit of the light is what we call light therapy. Red light therapy is very calming to the nervous system. It promotes its own regeneration and healing, and
Hmm.
it makes our sauna experience, yeah, pretty different and pretty
Yeah.
fast. This whole self-care thing can be quite you said, time is money. Time is everything. It can take a lot of time. So to have a quick, to have a quick sauna session, it's only like 15 to 30 minutes, depending on what type of model you get from Sauna Spaces. It gives people the ease and the convenience to do it 3 times a week. And that's where we really, get all the sauna benefits is through repetition. So yeah, man, great question. I'm glad we're able to clear that up. I do want to mention that you mentioned your code. Yeah, we support the Veteran Aviators. They're a nonprofit, absolutely. I want to say that I was looking to support a veterans group for several years, and I also I just couldn't figure out how to do it and what is it going to look like. And so I'm so glad that we've started this relationship and that we can support you guys and everything you do. So your code. So those of you who've spent this much time watching, you should use code Veteran Aviator, and you can use that at SoundSpace checkout. It's a 10% off code. Uh,
This month.
and this month actually it's going to stack on top of our Black Friday month, so it's a great time. It's the biggest discount of the year at SoundSpace. So again, that's code Veteran Aviators.
Aviator without an.
Excuse me, Veteran Aviator is the code. And yeah, not only that, when you use this code, not only are you getting a nice little discount on your sauna space, you're also supporting Anthony's nonprofit, is which was created to help veterans get their pilot license and also provide this really strong support system to help them in whatever their needs are. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's
since you guys started that code has almost exclusively covered the guy that's in training right now.
wow,
Yeah,
that's so amazing.
it's huge, man. It's you guys. I mean, you guys change lives every day, improve lives every day, but you guys, your support changed a guy's life. A wonderful dude, um, with a wonderful wife and wonderful kids, that
Wow.
works really hard, and you guys, I mean, you guys blessed him immeasurably.
Wow.
Um, yeah,
Well, we're absolutely grateful for that, for David, for you, Anthony, and everything you do, your family, Veteran Aviators, and all of your extended family. The Robinsons are quite a clan. Uh,
yeah,
yeah. Well, anyway, I would love to talk more on this. They're gonna cut us off, so we're gonna wrap up. But everybody, Veteran Aviator is the code you can use, and that's gonna support Anthony's nonprofit, Veteran Aviator. And thank you so much for your time today and opening up and sharing your experience with everybody. This will be on our feed so that everybody can watch and enjoy it later.
Yeah, Brian, I can't thank you guys enough, and all the other people out there that support veterans. It's incredible. It's it's there's no word for it. I just thank you guys for being there for us.
Well, thank you guys for serving and for being there for us. Anthony, have an amazing day. Appreciate you so much, brother.
All right,
Love
Brian, thank you very
you.
much. Thank
Love
you,
you very
Mila.
much.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Take care.
All right, you
Bye-bye.
guys too.